The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. My name is Priscilla Almquist Olsen, your host, and today is July 12th, 2024. And we are right in the midst of the election season. Campaigning is going on, whether you as the viewer know it or not. And today we have a candidate for State Senate, and her name is Kathleen Camara. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you, Priscilla. It's good to see you. Thank you for hosting.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love to have politicians and authors and writers and ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's what that comprises this show, Community Forum. So, tell us a little bit about your background, Kathleen, where you grew up and so forth.
Yeah, Easton is intricately involved in that, so I'm really happy to be here. I originally come from Stoughton. I lived there till 3rd grade. My godmother lived right next door. I had 3 brothers, come from a family of all boy cousins, aunts and uncles that lived all on the same street. I lived on Harris's Pond in Stoughton. My grandmother, Skip, was the first letter carrier in the post office. We're quite proud of that. She also belonged to the Union. My grandfather was a truck driver. He belonged to the Teamsters. We were very proud of him. And my uncle, 2 uncles, belonged to the Stoughton Police Department. So then, my family decided they wanted a little bit more land, so we moved to Norton. And that's where I lived the rest of my life. And of course, our relatives were still in Stoughton, so we'd be going down Bay Road from Norton to Stoughton all the time. And Easton was right in the middle. And so, I go way back. I remember a lot of things in Easton, the sheep pasture, Borderland State Park, really a lot of things that we really enjoyed. It was kind of a pit stop for us, and my mom got to know a lot of people in Easton. There was a sub corral, if you go way, way back, in the 1882 house. So I lived there the rest of my life. I got married and raised 3 children. And then I opened a business. I ran a business for 20 years as a single mom. And that was quite nice. And then my daughter, Erin, was in a serious car accident when she was 16. And she lives in a group home. And during COVID, when everyone had such a difficult time, she had a hard time too. So I navigated a very complex, convoluted, confusing, broken, quite frankly, healthcare system. And that was when she was 16. She's 38 now, and healthcare is still broken.
And tell me, when did you become a registered nurse?
So when my daughter had, thank you for asking, when my daughter had her accident, I was still running my business, and I became a CNA first because, my friends, my relatives said, your daughter is doing so well, you really should become a nurse. She's really getting better, and you're great with her. So I became a certified nurse's assistant first, and then I became an LPN, and I wanted to make sure, I could support my family alone. So I became an LPN and then an RN, and I have a background in subacute nursing and psych nursing. And subacute nursing, there's a lot of physical therapy involved, which of course had a lot to do with my daughter's recovery. So I did that for a long time, went up into the ranks into administration, and became a director of nurses in a few secured units. So I decided to run. Actually, when I tried to get services for my daughter during COVID, and two activist women in Randolph tried to convince me to run. But at that point, I still wasn't that convinced that that would be a path for me. So I did see that one of our elected politicians was anti-choice and anti-gay, poor history of being pro-choice and pro-LGBTQ plus rights, and small business. So those things really, really resonate with me. In 2022, I really spoke out and called him out on his poor voting records when no one else did. So, you know, I think one of the more important topics that everybody talked to in 2022 was democracy. And it's still a really big topic. As you know, we're in a presidential year.
So Kathleen, your daughter's health requirements that weren't met was somewhat of a driving force to get you involved in speaking out and getting involved in the political system. So you felt that you could do more as a politician as opposed to a nurse. But tell us the issues that you're really fighting for, and that what you will represent the people of Easton and other towns, surrounding towns in your district.
Yeah. So first of all, when I worked as director of nurses, I recognized that a lot of people in administration in nursing spent a lot of time trying to prepare for state surveys when the state comes in and basically does an audit of your care. So I did notice an awful lot of running around and, you know, trying to fix this, trying to fix that, and a lot of time spent on, quite frankly, damage control, when I felt very strongly that if all that energy could be spent in patient care, we would really be a lot better off. I do advocate for auditing the legislature. We have one of the least transparent legislatures in the state, in the country, and I think that, you know, democracy is so important in the White House and also the State House. And I want government to work better for the people. I also think that healthcare and our legal system are intricately involved. For instance, when Stewart Healthcare filed bankruptcy recently, you know, we've all been educated as to, you know, what Stewart's path was in the 80s, et cetera. And we didn't have the legal tools to deal with Stewart Healthcare back then and let them go unregulated. So I would like to work on, you know, people that fall through the cracks in the legal system and why. You know, are the lobbyists writing the bills? You know, and how can we shore up a path so that everyone has equitable, accessible health care without the premiums, without the co-pays, without the deductibles, and is equitable and accessible. So a lot of people fall through the cracks. And so that is one of my main topics. Certainly not all that I care about. Mm-hmm. I care about the environment. I care about women getting accessible, affordable childcare, paid family leave. I certainly care about housing, which is really crazy right now. And our young people can't afford the American dream like I did when I was younger and I was able to afford a home. And now it's, people that can only afford a rental, and some people can't even afford that. So it's renters and the real estate is really, really crazy. So we're all starting to work on it, but it's really sad.
Yeah, what about other issues like gun control and policing and so forth?
Well, gun control, I can tell you when I ran in 2022, it was post George Floyd. And everybody was very, very angry. A lot of people are still angry. We do live in a state where our laws, are pretty good. It's the point that in other states we don't have total control over what they do, which makes it hard for us in Massachusetts.
Because people bring guns that they've purchased in
Exactly.
other states into Massachusetts.
Right.
So how are we going to stop that?
We're going to fund more Homeland Security. My family comes from a legal background. My older brother worked for Homeland Security, so we talk about it all the time. And what I care about is people coming across the border safely, and making sure that they don't bring these guns into the country. What I care about is, democracy. Like I said, democracy in the White House right now is we're all, walking a tightrope, just holding our breath for democracy. And a lot of people still really haven't woken up to the fact that if we elect Trump, it will be a real life changer for all of us. And I talked for democracy in 2022 when I ran for state senate. We've seen our democracy get slammed by Donald Trump, and it really has tested our institutions and our rule of law. So I care about the broken healthcare system, and it's been used as a political football. And I care about our laws and regulations and how they intersect with healthcare. Stewart Healthcare, recently filed bankruptcy. So, healthcare is complicated and it's convoluted, and I would really like to see the premiums, lowered, the no more deductibles, and of course I'm talking and advocating for single payer, which is a not-for-profit form of healthcare. So we need to work still on our mental health system, disability services, and accessibility. So I'll continue to be a champion for reproductive health care in Massachusetts and LGBTQ+ rights. And just as I was when I first ran for state senate in 2022, when no one else stood up for that. We did have an elected official that I ran against that, people said, this is Massachusetts, of course we care about those things. But the people didn't know that my opponent was anti-choice and anti-LGBTQ+ rights, and also undermined the Fair Share Amendment, which I campaigned for. So he is no longer running for the seat.
Okay, and so now it's an open seat, and you have some competition this year. And can you tell the voters out there what distinguishes you from the other candidates and why they should vote for you? We have about 2 minutes.
Okay. They should vote for me because I will lead. I will show up. When I lost in 2022, I continued to stay in the game, going to town meetings in every town, educating myself for what each town in my district wants and cares about. And I am very different from my competition in that I'm not an establishment Beacon Hill insider. I have a whole different perspective of how I see things. And I think this is what people really want. They want somebody real. They want someone that doesn't pander to the votes. And I'm willing to do the hard work. And I would be very happy to have your vote September 3rd. Please visit www.kathleencamara.com.
So Kathleen, you will be on the ticket with 2 others.
Yes.
And we wish you well. And I know you're going to be showing up everywhere because you do. And Wednesday night, we had our first concert at Oak Saints Memorial Hall, outdoor concert, and there you were. And I expected to see you, and I'll expect to see you in the future. Now, what other towns would you be representing?
Okay, so it's half of Randolph, almost all of Braintree, except the Weymouth side, all of Milton, all of Stoughton, Easton, Bridgewater, all of Easton this time, Bridgewater and West Bridgewater, 7 towns.
Okay, and so you have been to all of those towns since in the past 2 years, going to their select board meetings, I assume, and
Yes.
other committees, so that you're informed.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a distinguishing feature from other candidates. Thank you so much for joining me today, and best of luck on
Thank
the
you for having me.
campaign trail. You're welcome, and until next time, all of you out there, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, bidding you farewell, and until next time, be well.